time I'm going to be showing off a whole bunch of World War One era vehicles. World War One, I feel like, is an underrepresented era in Sprocket, at least, especially Sprocket community, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen. And all of these tanks are going to be in their own new faction, or at least in their, well, I say faction, it's in their own section here in my Google Drive link, which will be in the description, which has all of my tanks uploaded onto there for you to download as you wish, with all of the decals and camo that you need for them as well. All of that's on the Google Drive link in the description. You can go ahead and download them as you want, and of course in the pinned comment on the Blueprints channel in my channel Discord, which will also be linked in the description. Go and sign up to the Discord as well, if you happen to have Discord, and if you want to, of course. But yeah, so I'm just going to be showing off some World War One designs. So with that, I will quickly start off with this thing, which I've already shown, but I'll quickly show it off because it's relevant. So the Ponsonby armoured car, which in lore universe, Ponsonby is my car brand, which I use for automation designs, and this was a vehicle which I tried doing in automation but never finished it, and then automation had a big update, deleted everyone's designs, and so the design never got finished, but I finished it in Sprocket. And yeah, this is just sort of like a van style thing. It has a Vickers machine gun in a traversable 180 degree turret here, which, as you can see, fires pretty quickly. And yeah, it doesn't go particularly fast, it's pretty slow. It has 10mm of armour, which, as you can see, if I shoot my own vehicle here, the machine gun can't penetrate. So yeah, it's not particularly battle effective perhaps against other tanks, but it is a little armoured car. I say little, it's an armoured van, really, as per most of the armoured cars of this era. But yeah, so this is the little armoured car. Now, I have gone ahead and I have made another Ponsonby vehicle here, and this one is here. So it's a bigger vehicle, as you can see, and this is the Rolls-Ponsonby armoured car, which is a joint venture, at least in universe, it's a joint venture between Ponsonby and Rolls-Royce. So it's using Ponsonby bits and pieces, probably a Ponsonby chassis or something along those lines, Ponsonby turret, Vickers machine gun, and yeah, Ponsonby designings and things, and yeah, probably Ponsonby chassis because I have the Ponsonby badge there, and a Rolls-Royce engine from a Rolls-Royce Phantom and Rolls-Royce gearbox, let's say. But yeah, this is basically like a joint venture style thing between Ponsonby and Rolls-Royce. And as you can see, it's much larger. It's got 6 wheels. These ones are doubled up at the rear. These ones at the front are singular, because these are the idler wheels, which, if I go here into mobility tracks and I show you the idler here, if I was to just change the, yeah, as you can see, if I move this along, this is just the idler wheel. And the reason it's the idler wheel is because I didn't want doubled up front wheels. So there you go. But yeah, so you've got the triple wheels here, you've got the exhaust there. Obviously, engine at the front. Crew members, 3. Yep, 3 crew members. You've got the gunner in the turret, you've got the commander here, and then the driver here. Spares on the back, spare wheels, spare tools on the side as well. And yeah, it's not particularly as battle effective. I mean, it's not going to be battle effective because it only has a Vickers machine gun still. And as you can see, the machine gun firing rate is not as high. Here, if I was to turn it around, yeah, not as fast firing, not as fast driving either, and that's because of the front idler wheel. The front idler wheel doesn't actually give traction. As you can see, if I try and turn here, it doesn't, and that's the problem with using a idler wheel at the front, which is a shame, because I don't want doubled up front wheels, but this is sort of like the only way you can do it. Yeah, which is slightly annoying, but it kind of drives. It's a bit slow to get off the line, and like I say, even with the correct horsepower for the Rolls-Royce engine here, which is power preview. There you go. 83 horsepower. It's slightly above what the Rolls-Royce Phantom actually gave for engine power, which was 80. But yeah, Sprocket doesn't have wheels, obviously, so it's still simulating tracks, and the front idler wheel doesn't give traction or grip. So yeah, it's kind of more for show than anything else. But yeah, it does have the rear door there, obviously, hatch on the top there for the gunner with a little periscope. And yeah, it's not particularly battle effective, but it's something. Armour-wise, still 10mm all around. It does have these bolt-on fronts, but yeah, depending on if you have aesthetic plates on or off. I have the aesthetic plates cheat off currently. If I go here, settings is a bit broken for some reason, but there you go. Aesthetic applique armour here, which is on because for a challenge on the Sprocket Discord, has to be off. But yeah, so that's the Rolls-Ponsonby. Now I do have another another armoured car, and here it is. It's pretty big, pretty funky looking, but this is the RLM 165A, and if I quickly change my faction here to France, so here's the RLM 165A. Some of you might remember the RLM 165D. Once it loads in, here it is. So here's the 165D. As you can see, just a pretty nifty little French armoured car with a 47mm gun, I think I mounted in this thing. But yeah, this is just a fast little armoured car. Pretty decent armoured car, if I do say so myself, especially for interwar. So yeah, that's the 165D. Now the 165A is essentially the predecessor to the 165D. As you can see, similar sort of shape, similar thing with a turret, although it is pretty massive. Well, I do get this nice rounding here from the gun. What is it? Turret ring. There you go. And yeah, this is just sort of like a World War I equivalent of the 165D. It's sort of like the predecessor, the thing to create it all. So yeah, this thing still only has a little 7.7mm machine gun. Even slower rate of fire, and still not as much penetration. As you can see, all of this turret just for a little machine gun, but that's because a funny round turret, and because I really wanted this sort of curved part on the side of the hull. And so yeah, but this thing, it's just got massive wheels. Yeah, it's pretty fast for a World War I vehicle, even without tracks. So yeah, as you can see, we're motoring along at nearly 17 kilometers an hour, which is pretty fast for World War I. But very thin, very large wheels, tool on the side there, and another tool on the side there. Obviously, engine at the rear. Two-man crew. Is it? Yeah, two-man crew. So the commander's sort of doing everything up here, and the driver is down here. But yeah, two massive headlights. Right at the front there, and of course we have our rear headlights there. There's the exhaust underneath there, because obviously rear engine. And armour wise, still 10mm. Yeah, all of it's default 10mm, although this is a circular turret, so obviously you're going to have a little bit of extra sloping armour on here, especially on the top where I've sort of rounded it off. Bit like a massive FT turret, but yeah, loads of rivets everywhere, and yeah, it's just sort of like a pretty nifty little armoured car. Little, I say, it's probably the biggest armoured car out of all of these that you've seen so far, but yeah, obviously rear hatch there for the rear of the turret, big old front hatch for the driver, and then we've got the commander's cupola up the top, which is an FT cupola, so that makes sense. But yeah, as you can see, we can switch between AP and APHE, so still only like 10mm of penetration. Not particularly great, but yeah, it's not a bad armoured car. Yeah, only 4.12 tons as well, so it's pretty light for what it is. But yeah, so that's the 165A, the original predecessor, which eventually spawned a long line of RLM armoured cars. And the final armoured car that I'm going to show you here is this thing, which is actually for a Sprocket challenge on the Sprocket Discord, which is running at the moment, for last stand 2. If you know, anyone's taken part in it or has taken part of it, if you're watching this video after it's finished. But yeah, this thing is built for that. So this is the Sturmwerk AG Kampfbus 18, aka the Battle Bus, because it's a massive bus. So we've got 6 wheels here, 2 steering wheels at the front obviously, and then the 4 driving wheels at the rear, which have got this nifty little rear covering which soldiers can ride on the side, I suppose. Spare wheels on here. As you can see, like with the Rolls-Ponsonby, I liked putting these things at the front of the radiator, just to like the Rolls-Royce armoured car in real life had. So yeah, that's what this is here for, because it looks cool. Armour-wise, I had to reduce it for the challenge, so it's now only 9 tons, but armour-wise 30mm all over the front, and 20mm on the side. Yeah, it was originally 40mm all around, but then, yeah, like I say, I had to change it for the challenge. 20mm rear armour as well, still decently armoured, and yeah, crew of 6. Yeah, 6, because we have got the driver, commander here, we have the gunner and loader up here, and then we have 2 side machine gunners who are in these things, and these things are MG08s because they're functional. So yeah, functional MG08s on the side here. There you go, MG08 cannons. So yeah, 2 of those on the side, taking it from the... I can't remember what the name of the big German box armoured car is from World War I, but that had side machine guns, so that was the inspiration for this. So yeah, side machine guns on here. We've got the German Empire flag on there, we've got loads of German crosses on the side, and on the rear, massive rear door, which is how you get in, obviously. Yeah, and then 2 hatches there to get in, spare parts and things are around, and yeah, just a bunch of ammo. Doesn't go particularly fast, but it does have a 60mm main gun, which has got 87mm of penetration, I think. Let's spawn an RLM. Well, it's 5 will spawn, but let's spawn RLMs here. So yeah, here they go. Ping, 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 ping. Oh, bit low. And low again, and there we go. So we've hit an RLM there. But yeah, as you can see, lots of penetration. 79 there, hitting 19. Oh, the RLM's actually managed to kill the Kampfbus. Interesting. How have they done that? Oh, fire. I think my engine's on fire. There's lots of explosions because of the APHE ammo that those RLMs default with. But yeah, 60mm main gun. As you can see here, yeah, 87mm penetration up there, and then for some reason the side machine guns do that, but just reloading it will fix that. And yeah, these things do work. If I was to press F2, yeah, this will get me to this side one, and as you can see, we were limited to 10mm, sorry, a loader space of ×10, which is why this is the fastest I could get this machine gun to fire at. But yeah, it is fully, it is a fully functional machine gun, and yeah, they will fire, the AI will fire them, I'm pretty sure, if it's an AI controlled vehicle. And of course the main gun is just, yeah, nice and powerful, nice and strong. And yeah, it's just the battle bus. I called it the battle bus because a funny Fortnite meme, I suppose. But yeah, it's one of the more battle effective vehicles purely because of the main gun. You know, the main gun is the thing that will kill things rather than machine guns. So, and I have actually completed the World War I scenario with the battle bus, so it is actually scenario effective as well, at least for the World War I scenario. So yeah, it's actually effective, which is pretty cool. And the next thing I'm going to show is going to be, I'll finish off with the vehicle, German vehicles actually, but this thing was my original second submission for Last Stand 2, and this is the Sturmpanzer König mortar, aka the King Slayer, because, I don't know, funny. But yeah, so this thing is a behemoth. yeah, what can I say? It's a boat. As you can see, it's got a very boat-like shape because I originally modelled this to be the front, only to realise I'd been switched around and this was actually the front. So, yeah, funny boat-like shape. Lots of armour all over it. 40mm all over the front, all over the side, all over the rear. Obviously, this top part is all 40mm. This is all 5mm because I had to do some weight reduction for the challenge, only to then realise that it wasn't enough. So I had to do basically massive problems with this thing. So I'll show you the actual submission after this. But yeah, this is the original submission, still with some weight reduction, but 24 tons still. We've got sort of the engine block sort of placed right in the centre of the tank, around sort of like here, but obviously lower down, so more like in here, like here. So yeah, that's why you've got vents here, you've got the exhausts there. Lots of crew. I originally even had this with functional MG08s, but then had to reduce them. So MG08, 2 at the front here, you've got 2 on the side here, 2, 1 on each sponson, and then another 2 up the top here, so 1 there and 1 there. So lots of crew, lots of machine guns, and we also have the same 60mm guns here, although they're shorter barreled. So only 69mm of penetration, although that's still a nice amount of penetration here. So it's a 6cm Koenigs mortar cannon. So yeah, nice and powerful guns there. And massive spotlight on the top here, loads of ventilation, loads of hatches. The suspension I'm actually very happy with, how I've managed to get the tracks here. I've even got these sort of curved runners going down the sides here. So yeah, I'm actually very happy with this thing. I quite like it. I haven't tried, I don't know if it's actually scenario effective, because this is essentially upscaled A7V Sturmpanzer tracks, because as you can see it's got the 4 little road wheels here, 4 little road wheels here, and yeah, it was sort of like it was sort of like my copy of an A7V track and suspension layout. So yeah, there's that. But then I named it Wilhelm because it's the name of the emperor, and this is the Kingslayer, sort of like King George. You see the connection there. But yeah, so we have got Imperial German flag there as well, and once again German crosses sort of everywhere. And then yeah, there's the commander's cupola up there, another massive hatch. Crew of 11, yep, crew of 11, functional crew, that is. You would have more for the machine guns, so you're fitting a lot of people in this thing, which is why there's so much free space there. But yeah, so you could probably fit another like 6 crew members in here, no worries. But yeah, so this is the Koenigs mortar, and as you can see, I've sort of gone with sponsons on the side because I thought last stand, the contest, takes place in 1918, and by now the Germans have seen lots of the British mail tanks of various marks, so I thought, why not steal that design? So that's what we've got here. Goes at 11 kilometers an hour, well 11.3 kilometers an hour, which is not too shabby. Yeah, we're covered in armour. If I was to spawn, I don't know, a Modello, or well, some Modellos rather, as you can see there's lots of them, and there's lots of guns for me. So there you go, nice ricochet there, killed him. And yeah, even if you do get detracked, there's a good chance that one of your guns will be able to shoot at these tanks. So yeah, even if you do get detracked, you've got armor, you've got guns everywhere, and they are all selectable. Ow. Okay, the Modello managed to penetrate me somewhere and kill my entire crew, but yeah. But yeah, you do have each gun is able to be selected individually, so you can choose where you want to shoot from. And yeah, in general, it's just I'm quite happy with this tank. And how I've got these sponsons actually working is that I've got little turrets inside of here, which essentially do the turning for you, because placing these things just on the sponsons wasn't working, so I had to get creative, and so that's what these are. But yeah, so this was the original submission for the Königsmortar, and the actual submission that I had to do was this. As you can see, it's been severely reduced, 18.75 tons. You know, we've lost 10 tons, nearly like 8 tons. Armour-wise, we still have 40 millimeters of armour across here. I had to reduce this to 30 and this to 20 because, well, the sloping gives it extra armour anyway, so yeah, I had to reduce that. The tops are still 5 millimeters because, again, I had to reduce that. The rear is actually only 20 millimeters here. Again, this is 30 millimeters up here, but yeah, the actual rear of the tank here is all 20 millimeters, which I wasn't too happy about. And I also had to cut off half of the firepower here, so it only has 2 main guns now, which is the 2 front guns on little side sponsons. And yeah, I had to reduce the fuel, I think the engine size wasn't actually reduced, but yeah, I had to do a bunch of weight reduction and loss, like, you know, completely shortening these things, getting rid of the 2 guns at the rear, getting rid of some of the armour. I had to do all sorts to actually get this thing to be legal for the contest after rules were clarified. But even so, it's still not a particularly bad vehicle. I think we can still go at the same top speed. No, we can't. We've been reduced. I had to change the gearing, I think, maybe. Because maybe I did reduce the size of the engine. But yeah, we definitely have reduced the amount of fuel. And yeah, it's not as good, maybe, as the Königsmortar, the original. But yeah, this one, you know, it can still kill things. Oh, we penetrated him there, he's on fire. Let's hit him again. And again. He's taken a lot of shots. Okay, he's on fire, we're going to leave him at that. Let's try kill this guy. Ooh, shot went low. Ricocheted. Ricochet again. Ricochet. That one bounced. That one bounced. That one bounced. I mean, as you can see, at this sort of range, we're bouncing shots perfectly fine because of the front boat-like shape. I don't know what enemies I'm actually going to face in the challenge, so that'll be interesting to see. Hey, we managed to kill him. But yeah, as you can see, we're bouncing shots pretty easily. This shape is not bad. The AI doesn't quite understand what to do with this tank. As you can see, they've sort of stopped shooting. But yeah, it's still not a particularly bad tank. Obviously, we've lost firepower. Nice big rear doors instead at the rear of the sponsors, but yeah, it's still a decent enough tank. It'll get you through the scenario probably. Again, I haven't scenario tested this, but yeah, it's still not a particularly bad tank. Even if it's not quite how I envisioned it, but yeah, the Ausführung D here, the D model, it's still not particularly bad. So, the second to last tank I'm going to show you is this thing, the Modello 1917, which I think I might have already shown off. But yeah, it's essentially Italian FT17 copy. Doesn't work quite correctly, as you can see. The tracks, it doesn't quite like them. But yeah, it's still, you know, an FT17 style tank. 7.74 tons, which is not too bad. Armour-wise, 20 millimeters. Yeah, nothing too special, but yeah. 15, 10, World War I armour. Can't really expect loads of armour on it. But yeah, the tracks don't quite work correctly there, unfortunately, anymore, but I'm sure with some tweaking that could be changed. But yeah, this is just the general FT17 style copy, Italian. And so yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this thing, but British 6-pounder gun, mounted in the turret, and 2-man crew. So, 2-man crew? 3-man crew. So yeah, not much more you could really want from that. But the final tank I am going to show is this thing, a Japanese tank, the Type 1 Heavy, which is actually the first vehicle I made which was able to complete the World War I scenario. Unfortunately, since then, updates have happened, and it's broken. As you can see, yeah, the tracks don't want to work correctly there, which yeah, is not brilliant. And as you can see, the ammo has not been loaded, and the front guns there do not elevate correctly. Yeah, I haven't fixed this thing, which I probably will do at some point. So for now, on the Google Drive, it will be broken. But yeah, this thing was a behemoth when I originally made it. 31.5 tons, as you can see there. 40mm of armour all over here. 25 on the little front turrets here. 30mm on the main turret. 25mm of side armour, 20mm on the little turrets there, 10mm on the rear there, 15 on there, and 15 on the rest of the rear. It's a massive thing, which I based on the Japanese heavies from World of Tanks. But yeah, it's got this nice sort of sloping front on the side here, which sort of brings it in narrow, which I thought was just kind of cool. You've got a couple of hatches there, obviously hatches all over there. It has lost some of the riveting, well, it has lost all of the hull riveting because the tank kept on breaking after I made it. So yeah, I just stopped putting them on there after a while. But yeah, lots of lots of exhausts, massive engine deck, big Japanese flag on the back. Obviously our nice Japanese camo on there, and yeah, eventually this thing will get fixed. It was capable of completing the World War I scenario, like I said. I think it could actually cross the trenches on the map, which was a feat in and of itself. The guns that it was actually carrying, you've got two 37mm and then a 150mm gun as the main gun, which just a massive howitzer with 72mm of penetration. These things have 50. Yeah, I need to put ammo and stuff in these things and figure out how they all work and all sorts of stuff all over again. But yeah, for now, this is the final World War I vehicle that I have to show that I haven't shown before. Obviously, there are the British World War I vehicles, which I showed off recently, so they're not in the pack yet, and I'm not showing them off because I have showed them off recently. But yeah, these are all of the World War I vehicles I have. I'm happy with most of them, well, basically all of them, except for this one, which I haven't fixed yet. But yeah, all of these things, very happy with. You know, the RLM, pretty fast for a World War I vehicle. The Ponsonby Rolls, which unfortunately, because the idler wheel doesn't work properly, but it still looks decent enough in my opinion. And then of course the new German vehicles, which I'm just very happy with. So yeah, these things are probably the best ones that I've done because they are the newest. But yeah, so that is just a bunch of World War I vehicles that I have to show you. So yeah, I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye.